Today I have Ghazal Gupta, the founder of Unfiltered, joining me on the Founders podcast.
There will be 45-year-old men in suits who will just not take you seriously.
Did you ever face any sort of backlash from them, or what was like your toughest challenge that you had to kind of get through?
Wherever you are in life is an outcome of a lot of decisions you made in the past.
Tell me something like, what was one thing that you as a founder stopped caring about?
Getting advice from a lot of people. So yeah, what was your question again?
Yeah. It was so cute. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Founders podcast. Every few years, we hear of a founder who's not just here to build another product but to change a belief. From being a creator herself to now changing the way Indian skin shade matches are, today I have Ghazal Gupta, the founder of Unfiltered, joining me on the Founders podcast. Hi Ghazal, how are you doing today?
Hi Hina, thank you so much. This was a lovely intro.
I'm sure. I mean, we've all known you as the creator influencer, and now you are a founder yourself. So let's start a little bit and let's get to know this Ghazal, have an unfiltered conversation with her.
We should have a very unfiltered conversation.
I think that's the goal. So I want to start first and get to know a little bit about your creator journey. Like, where was that overnight spike that made you the creator?
Somewhere around 2024, I started posting about like me not being able to find my shade in like a concealer or foundation. And honestly, you won't believe I got more replies on those stories than I did on like a regular pretty picture of myself.
Okay.
So that's when it just sort of, I had that Eureka moment that I have to build in base makeup. Started studying the market a little bit, realized that, there's no brand in India yet that's really pioneered in base makeup. Of course, there were some brands that were building in base makeup, but I felt like, that moat where that you are building for Indian skin tones in the base makeup category was something that was missing or maybe not tapped into enough. And then, so it just sort of dominoed from there.
Okay.
My entire journey of building the brand. I was never a full-time creator. I always created content on the side. For me, it was always sort of a distribution channel that I was building, aka community that we call it. But yeah, it was always like sort of, how do I feel like I can build a meaningful distribution that can be leveraged in the future.
No, that's very interesting that you thought so ahead, because usually you see creators be formed and then them launching brands because they understand the value of their community.
So again, similar to how a lot of these other brands picked up a moat from their community, one very deep insight we picked up from our community was that people are not able to find their shade. They're not able to trust online images for foundations because, of course, in different lighting, you're going to look different. Every image is going to look different.
Yeah.
And see, they've tried so many foundations in the market that now they don't want to put their money into another foundation that's not going to fit them.
Yeah.
So the best way that we could sort of tackle this shade matching problem online by being an online first brand is by launching these 100% refundable shade matching kits. So largely you can put yourself in, one of these brackets of being light to medium, deep or medium to deep. So we sell 4 of these kits separately, and you can pick one of these kits which comes with 3 shades inside. And you can swatch those 3 shades, try to figure out what your shade is. And when you upgrade to the full-sized foundation, you get your entire money back for the, you get your entire money back for the shade matching kit.
Nice.
So essentially, you're not paying to get yourself shade matched as you wouldn't when you go to a store.
Yeah.
That was a very deep insight that we felt that we could build on with the community.
No, I think that was a very good marketing strategy from your end, because in India, we all struggle with the match. Like you said, right? I don't even understand which match would suit me, which doesn't suit me. And being a working girl, you just want to get what suits you and just get going, right? You want it to be quick, easy, and not like such a tedious sort of a task.
Exactly.
So I did see that entire strategy of your shade matches, and I want to know on a business end, right? I mean, of course, you're doing it as a tactic to get your initial sales, is to get people to kind of try your product. Do you really think it's profitable, and do you think this kind of changes the way a customer perceives your brand?
One thing, launching minis for most brands is not the most ideal thing because your costs usually remain the same, but because you're giving a customer a lower quantity or a smaller size, you have to charge significantly
Yeah,
lower.
yeah.
For us, it's more of a customer acquisition strategy, because we understand it's difficult for a customer to trust a new brand in the base makeup category, which is anyways a little difficult to sort of purchase online, and be able to churn out a 1500 plus amount for it. The best way that we could, tell the customer that, okay, you try, you pay 349 rupees, which is a very decent price
Yeah.
point. And then, when if you like the product, if you find your match, you can redeem that entire amount later. So for us, it's a very customer acquisition strategy to, to get people to try the product before they're churn, to get people to try the product before they're investing their entire money into buying a full size version of it.
And then since the time you've launched, have you seen people misuse these kits? Because again, let's be honest, we're living in India. It
Yeah.
happens, sampling is always taken, or like free samples means I'm just gonna grab what I get and
Yes.
like use what it is. So have you also seen that sort of a trend? And just to follow up to that question is, how many ever shade matches you sent, did you see at least 50 to 60% of those convert to customers?
Yes, so an industry standard for conversion could be somewhere around a 25-30%, and we've seen a much higher retention than that. We've actually sold out 6 months worth of inventory in 2 months.
Oh,
So we're
wow.
sold out on the shade kits entirely,
Oh, wow.
which was extremely unexpected. So now for us to get back into production cycle and restock those is going to take about 2
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
So we will find out, if the shade kits was a great strategy or not, because now when we don't have them, we'll be able to identify how many customers
Yeah.
are directly
Yeah.
purchasing the full-sized version. But so far, we've seen that the shade kits have been an amazing strategy in order to get people to try the product, because I have faith in my product that once they do try it and they find their match, they are going to upgrade to the full-size version.
Yeah.
So I think if you love your product, it's a great strategy.
Yeah. And tell me something, that do you only have like a very young audience that's adapting this product, or you've seen people of all ages kind of come purchase and, get like their perfect match?
Yeah, so initially when I did launch, I felt like this product is for the Gen Zs and for the younger audience, the Gen Zs and millennials. But as in when we've done more offline workshops and offline events, we've realized that moms actually love this product so much
Yeah.
because it's very nostalgic to them, like an age-old compact powder.
Yeah.
Except now it's more in a liquid form, so it's not settling into your fine lines, or it's not settling into like maybe a little aged skin. Which was a very deep insight. I was extremely happy to see, women in the slightly older age group adapt to the product, and so easily. Like, it was very intuitive to them on how to use the product because they're so used to the
Yeah.
compact powder format. So that was a very deep insight. Secondly, we've also seen it with our meta ads. We initially tried to target an audience that was younger, and then we tried to target an audience that was older, and the amount of conversion we saw with the older audience was extremely unexpected.
Yeah.
So I think you shouldn't restrict yourself to just one audience, because what you perceive the brand and the product in your mind could be very different from what people are perceiving it to be.
Yeah. It's been what, 1.5 years since you've kind of started work on this. You've been doing so much research. You've also got a chance to go for international expos. So just a little nerdy question out here, that how did you learn about these expos and what is really the way to go? Because there's so many people starting beauty brands. I don't think people know that there are these international expos where you can learn so much and meet vendors. So how did you learn about that space?
I think I just got a random promotional email and I acted upon it. I think people who are building in beauty seriously would know that there are these expos that happen. Like Cosmoprof is one of the biggest that
Yes.
happens in India as
Yeah.
well. It was just there in the beginning of December. There's also like a lot of other fairs that happen in Korea, in China, in Hong Kong, in Bologna, across the world. So I think if you literally just do a Google search of beauty expos happening in 2026, you will get a whole list of expos, and you can sort of literally register there for free.
Yeah.
So I think there is so much access. You just have to know, where to look.
And what do I really gain from going at an expo? Do I get vendors? Do I get business insights, connections, or it's just merely for network? What is the main?
I think exposure. You learn so much about what's happening in the global market. You learn about what's going to be trending. You can draw your own insights. Of course, vendors, you get to, build connections in person. You get to sort of understand in depth about how they're building these products. It's just, I think, it's I think it's a plethora of so many things that come together. But I would always recommend that if you're building in beauty or any other industry for that matter, pick the expo that sort of like fits your niche and go for it.
Yeah.
The first time that I went to Korea, I didn't know what I was going to build. I didn't know, how to speak to vendors. I didn't know what to speak to vendors about. And I didn't know what to do at an expo. Like, it's a little intimidating. It is a large space, and there are so many stalls, and there are people from all across the world who've built amazing brands. And you're just sort of one of them there. And I think that should be reason enough for you to sort of like push the boundaries and go and speak to every single person there.
No, that's interesting, and I love what you mentioned is how to speak to vendors. Now, the entire crux of a product business is getting your production right. If you don't have a good
Yeah, your
production,
supply chain.
yeah, your
Yeah.
supply chain becomes difficult, your distribution gets difficult, and if you're out of stock in 2 months, like you were, you need to bring that cycle back again.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little about that. You were a young founder, I guess you were like in your early 20s when you would have started out. How was it talking to vendors? How did you navigate that space? And did you ever face any sort of backlash from them, of them not taking you seriously, being someone who's young or a woman? And how did you kind of tackle that?
Yeah, I think every 20 something girl that's starting something will face this at some point in their lives. There will be 45-year-old men in suits who will just not take you seriously. And you just sort of have to push through that. I think you have to find the right partners that see the vision that you see. When I was looking for someone to manufacture a cushion foundation in India, it was really difficult to find somebody who believed in the vision of that product because, of course, I had smaller MOQs. I had no background in building a brand, so it was the first time that I was getting into the industry. Why would somebody invest their resources, their time, and their manpower into building an entirely new product for me?
Yeah.
It was very difficult to get through the right person. But I think once you do find somebody who aligns on your vision, um, the rest is history, I think. Yeah. But as a woman, it is very difficult to get to as a woman, it is very difficult to convince people about your vision.
Yeah.
I think if I was a man, even if I was a man in my early 20s, it would relatively be a lot easier, and maybe my process would have been a lot faster.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Building in a beauty space.
Yeah, building in any space, to be honest, because your manufacturer is most likely a man.
Yeah.
So,
It's easier to kind of
yeah.
build that sort of
Yeah.
rapport. And tell me something, like, obviously you've had your share of challenges. What was like your toughest challenge that you had to kind of get through, which you felt like, okay, maybe this business is not going to see the day of light?
So the first time that I imported my packaging, I imported the entire bulk.
Okay.
So thousands and thousands of units. So while doing the STCT, which is a stability test, we realized that the formula is drying up in the packaging, and that was the biggest nightmare
my
I could have
God.
imagined.
Yeah.
Because imagine the investment that was poured into importing thousands of units of this packaging, right? We realized that it's not airtight enough. We had to send that entire shipment back
Oh
to
my
where it
God.
came from, get an airtight layer installed, and bring it back. So this was a very costly mistake. I could have avoided it if I was patient enough to, wait another 2-3 weeks or maybe another month or two to order my packaging. And I just feel like, it was a very noob mistake that I made, but learned for the
Yeah.
future.
No, I think
Yeah.
that's really what makes you a founder, and I think that's the beauty of being a founder, is like your every day is a new challenge and you're learning it
Right.
and kind of navigating it. Tell me something, like, what was one thing that you as a founder stopped caring about that used to affect you a lot, but you stopped caring about it after you became a founder because you realized it's fine?
I think getting advice from a lot of people. A lot of people will tell you so many different things, so many times it'll be contradictory. But I think you just have to believe in yourself. And that's very easy to say, believe in yourself. It's actually really difficult to do. You truly have to believe in your vision to actually believe in yourself, which is a journey in itself. It's not a button that you push that, okay,
Yeah.
today I'm going to stop listening to everybody else and I'm going to do what I think is best. It's a lot of mental battles that you fight and a lot of like boundaries that you push through in order to get there.
Let me ask you a little bit more about that, right? When you were posting these stories and you were doing your primary research, as you call it, what were the few things that you felt was still a gap? Because I think after COVID, beauty has been a very crowded
Yeah.
space. But you're still created a niche in a base product which is not so popularly tapped into by the biggest of the biggest beauty brands.
Yes.
What was that first insight that made you feel that the issue is with the base makeup and not with any other product that's being used?
So, color cosmetics in general has always been a very big category in India. But I felt like base makeup is that one part of makeup that actually drives retention. You know, when you find a concealer or a foundation as a consumer, how often do you see yourself switching to another concealer the next month? You don't, right?
Very less,
But when
yeah.
it comes to a lip or a blush, it's more like today you have one, tomorrow you have another one, day after you have another one. There's very, very less loyalty in color products except the base makeup category. But that's an insight that I got from my community as well. Like, I spoke to them about what shades do they use, or you know, what brands do they use. Most people named international players,
Yeah.
or the Maybellines and Lakmes. So I didn't really see any Indian brand within, you know, that entire research. So that was also, you know, one part of it that sparked that why are Indian brands not building in base makeup
Yeah.
yet? Of course, now it's started, and you know, now we're seeing so many brands come up with like different formulas, different sort of like categories within the base
Yeah.
makeup category. But I wanted to understand from a market perspective or from a business perspective, why are people not getting into this? And that's when I realized it is incredibly hard to manufacture. It is a very big risk to take compared to, you know, launching any other color cosmetic product, and it is very, very hard to get shades right. So yes, and so that's where I felt like, okay, this is the reason that people way smarter than me, people who've been in the industry for so many years, have not tapped into have not tapped into this yet. So I mean, but I felt like, you know, maybe this is something that I can sort of break the barriers of.
That's very interesting because I remember still the days that when you talk about a shade card, like, and I'm talking like a non-beauty gal. When you talk about a shade card, I only remember the Fair and Lovely shade card. I think that was like, you remember all from the
Yeah,
fairest to the
it is
darkest.
generational.
Yeah, it's generational. It's been there on our TVs and all sort of ads, right? And I've struggled with foundation. I think I picked up one Sephora foundation and like year on year I just stock up and I keep, because like I'm like, this shade goes and I don't know what I'm gonna do to my skin. So I get what you mean in terms of the international brands. Can you tell us like what were the gaps? Like, where do you see the difference between Indian skin tones being adapted into what the Western world is doing? Because what a Maybelline or a Lakme is selling, right? All the color shades, etc. They're the same across the world, but you've got all colors across the world, and the Indian's color tone is still a little different. So, what is this difference in the Indian skin tone?
I think a very deep insight that I again got from the community is that a lot of us are olives and a lot of us don't know about it.
Oh,
Yes,
olives.
yes. Olive is actually an overtone. So
Okay.
you have your warm, cool, neutral, which are your undertones, and then you have an olive overtone, which a lot of Indians have. But because of this Fair and Lovely era that you've mentioned,
Yeah.
that's sort of been there since generations, since probably our grandmoms
Yeah.
telling us to, you know, put haldi to look fairer, etc., etc. It's just been so inherent that the only way to look beautiful is to be fair.
Yeah.
So again, as an effect, we tend to look down upon deeper skin tones, or we tend to look down upon olive tones. Olives are basically a little desaturated. So when you look at a, let's say, a Spanish warm overtone, a Spanish warm undertone versus an Indian warm undertone, you'll see that the Indian warm undertone is likely to be more desaturated.
Okay.
So that's where your olive comes into play. But again, while doing research, whenever we spoke to people and sort of like identified that they're an olive, they were not thrilled about it. They were a little like, oh, I'm an olive.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm in that category. So that's where we wanted to flip the switch again. We sort of started to romanticize olives. So of course we have a lot of olive tones in our shade range as well. And the way we romanticize it is that do you know a martini glass always comes with
Yeah.
olives? And martinis are always something that's like fun and like you're happy when you
Yeah,
look at them
yeah.
and you know when you sort of drink them. So we use a martini glass a lot in our branding with the olives to sort of romanticize these olive tones.
Nice.
So taking that entire opposite stance to Fair and Lovely, we're not saying only deep skin tones. Of course, most of India lies in the medium to deep skin tone range. But again, we realized that the way you look at your skin tone is very subjective. So someone might call you fair, versus in your head you're medium, but in someone else's head you're deep.
Yeah.
So it is super, super subjective. That's why we wanted to sort of take a very neutral stance to romanticizing it. And, we've just sort of like tried to break through our generational thinking of fair is beautiful, or the
Yeah.
only way to look beautiful is being white, by sort of like taking this romantic stance towards olives.
I didn't even know there was olive. I just thought it's white and brown. Like that's it. that is it. That is
It's
it.
a
You're
whole
the
range of browns.
Yeah, like that
Yeah.
is crazy. And what made you go into cushion foundations? I mean, for the longest time, the reason why you moved from those typical compact powders to a bottled foundation was to ensure that it's easier to apply, it kind of blends well, etc. And now you've gone and created a mixture of both those products and built
Yes.
cushion foundations. So I know that you mentioned it was great in Korea, but again, we're an Indian market. So what kind of made you go into this, and how do you think you had to kind of explain to people to use the product for adaptability in the Indian market?
So the reason I wanted to start with a cushion foundation, as I mentioned, is because I saw the ease of application. So when you actually see the product, it is very, very easy to apply. Like you just have to pat into this. My product is literally almost over, but all you have to do is pat into this and pat it on your face. You're not using your hands, so you can use it on the go. It's a mix of a liquid and a compact, so it's going to be self-setting. It's going to, sort of like settle on your face on its own.
Yeah.
A liquid foundation is something that's a little tricky for some people to use, because
Yeah.
you have to have the skill, you have to know exactly how much
How
to
much?
apply.
Yeah.
And a compact can be drying on some people. So this is like that perfect fusion of a liquid foundation and a compact. It dispenses product just as much as you would need for coverage, and you can always build it up. But it's not going to, sort of be difficult to apply. So even a noob with makeup, someone who doesn't know how to put makeup, as you said, that you're not
Yeah.
much of a beauty girly, it would be very easy for you to sort of
Yeah.
like apply on the go. You don't even, need like a full-fledged mirror and a vanity to sort of apply the product.
Yeah. I think that works, right?
Yeah.
Like convenience for customers is
Correct.
what really works
It
for
works
Indians.
really well in India as well, because most of us live such a fast-paced lifestyle, especially in metro cities, that we want, every product that we're using, we want it to be super, super convenient. We want it to give us like the benefit of 3 to 4 products in one and be very quick to use.
Yeah.
And, something that you can use on the go. So that convenience is what we're solving for with the product.
So I really want to know that, is your vision with this company to only build for Indian skin? Are you going to only be in base makeup, or are we expecting some more unfiltered products coming our way?
I think in the very long-term vision, of course, we will bring in a lot of other products. But for now, I really, really want to focus on the base makeup category. From a business point of view, that I don't see a singular brand that's really pioneered in the space. And 2, from the perspective that I really want every Indian girl to feel comfortable in the skin tone that she is.
Yeah.
Not wanting to look a shade lighter, not wanting to be fairer, or using brightness creams.
Okay.
So yeah, I think right now my mission is just to help women feel comfortable in the skin tone that they are. That's why we want to focus on the base makeup category as much as we can for as long as we can. And then, of course, build into more products.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of excited to see where that goes. And now it's time for me to kind of get a little unfiltered with you. I'm going to do a quick rapid fire, quick answers only.
Okay.
Okay, this is to get to know Ghazal Gupta. You just have to tell us like your opinions, your thoughts, and how would you kind of, respond to the situation.
Okay.
Perfect. Are you ready? You want a
Let's
minute?
go. No, let's go.
Okay, perfect. If someone launched a beauty brand today, what is the one thing they should do first?
Research.
Okay.
Find your gap.
What is the one makeup product you refuse to share with anyone?
My foundation. You can't share the same puff with different people.
Fair enough. Are you more of an email person or a voice note girl?
Voice note.
What is the one word that customers say which instantly stresses you out?
PP.
For even foundation shade?
PP.
I think they're mistaking it for some thrift store.
I swear.
Okay. What is the emoji that describes your founder era right now?
You know the one where the brain is coming out? That one.
Which has got that
Yeah.
thing. Okay, cool. Perfect. Thank you so much. I think this was a very interesting and unfiltered conversation
Yes.
with you. I really enjoyed it because I love how unique you've built your business with just literally an Instagram story. Like, that story
Yeah, that's
that
where
got
it
you so
started.
many insights, which kind of got you to launching this product. And I wish you all the best and thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
I
much. It
hope you
was
had fun.
lovely to be here. I did. I had so much fun having this conversation with
I'm
you.
glad. Thank you for tuning in into this episode of the Found Hers podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, then please like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one.